Only Leeds Bros show.
What is happening, everybody, and welcome back to Only Leeds Bros. Hope everybody is keeping and doing well, and welcome back to season rated voted by you guys. This time we put out a link there a couple of weeks ago, something that we did want to do at the end of the season. Obviously we do player ratings after every game, so we said we'll put it up to you guys this time, and over 120 of you guys voted on this one. A couple of very interesting votes in it, and of course we asked you for your player of the year as well, so we're going to go through all that. But before we do, we just want to say thanks very much to the channel sponsors, Match Bingo, for sponsoring Only Leeds Bros. To get involved, all you have to do is scan the QR code down the bottom right of your screen there, or hit the description or hit the link in the description below to get involved. We'll pop across to Dillo. Dillo, how are you keeping? It's been a while. How are you?
A pure emotional roller coaster, Darren. Let's be honest. I don't know where to start. I watched the game here with Jodie, my partner, and my son, and my mother-in-law, and the emotions were very high, as we could all imagine, and just fell to my knees with just pure emotion. So I'm delighted to be back as well. I don't know what to say. The last few days have just been nothing but immense for being a Leeds United fan. And now it's just all I can see is transfer rumours. So looking for. I can't wait for the season to start early.
Oh no, me too as well. And it kind of kicked off even when we got promoted. You could kind of see some of the links were coming through straight away. We spoke about it when we were over Leeds after Stoke. We said, it's going to be a matter of time before we linked with Calvin Phillips. We're obviously linked with Beto now as well from Everton as well. So a couple of links starting to get a little bit stronger. But of course, it's what's going to happen, Dylan. Now Leeds being a Premier League club, we're going to be linked with these players, and it's going to be a very, very busy summer for Leeds United. We're going to do a bit of a video as well on transfers and stuff like that, and the money Leeds going to have to spend, and kind of what we need to do, and again, get you guys involved, because it's something that we do want to do on Only Leeds Bros, and something that we do kind of say from the start, that we want to get you guys involved. We do want to build a community, constantly getting your opinion on kind of what the general kind of thinking is out there, Dylan. So this is what we done with this one, with the season ratings, Dylan. We put it up to the OLB audience. We put it out there. We said, use let us know exactly what you thought of the players this season. We leave the ratings up to you. Obviously, Daniel Farke as well, and the player of the season as well. So we have a bit to get through, Dylan. What we'll do is we'll pop them up in tiers. We'll go through them. We'll ask your opinion. Ask the guys in the chat opinion as well, what they think, and we'll go from there. But before we do, Danny is in the building. He says, smash a like and subscribe. Please do that, guys. Very, very close to 3,000 subscribers as well. So please make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Danny says, welcome back, lads. If Melier doesn't win from the opposition fans, they don't know a ball. He didn't get many now, Danny. He didn't get many. And happy 35th birthday. We do have to say happy birthday to Dillo. Dillo's birthday yesterday. Dillo, did you have a good day?
I had a great day. Came home. The missus scared the life out of me. Came in, and there was balloons everywhere. I didn't know what was going on. She was kind of disappointed that I came in a little bit early, because she wasn't ready for me basically to come in. But just chilled out. Got a Chinese, as you could see by my fat face, and chilled out. It was a nice little weekend. Look forward to this weekend though as well.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and we will run through the Legends game as well just before we wrap this up right at the end. And our brother Jam is in the building. He says, evening, gents. Evening, Jam. Hope you're keeping well. Pal. Dillo, I think we'll smash straight into it. What do you think?
Yeah, let's give it a go.
Let's give it up, Ash. First up then, Elan Melier and Jaden Bogle. So vote for you, guy. Elan Melier, Dylan, with a very, very low score in the fours. What do you think of that? Does this feel a little bit harsh, or is it warranted?
I think, seeing him at the parade and all, I kind of felt sorry for him. I think I love every single player individually, because we're going up. But to say it's harsh, I'm going to have to say, no, it's not. It's not one bit harsh, Darren. Sound like Roy Keane. You're doing the necessities as a goalkeeper. I just think you had too many mistakes throughout the season. His kicking, his distribution sometimes wasn't great. Just do the necessities of being a goalkeeper. Do the basics.
Catch the ball.
You said it before when Darlow was, we got word that Darlow was coming in. You said to yourself, that's all you want from your goalkeeper. You're just doing the necessities. I think Melier just didn't do it this season at all for me. So Fair, and I'm not just saying it's blowing smoke up that hole, but the OLB members are definitely right with that one.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think it's more. And again, like it's like what you said there, kind of seeing him during the kind of the trophy parade and stuff like that, and you kind of wonder what's going through his head, knowing that he's kind of taking out the firing line, you know, kind of for the better of the team. And Carl Darlow came in and will get to him, and he done a great job. And yeah, it felt a little bit sorry for him, I do have to say. But with this score down, I think the OLB audience are right with this now. I think Forrest is 100% right. He's cost us a good couple of points this season. Let's be honest with ourselves. He's probably lost us more than what he saved us, and that's not what you want in a goalkeeper. So, yeah, we'll obviously talk about Elan Mellier's future again in another video and kind of what Leeds United should do with him moving forward. But let's move on then, Dylan.
Just going on to that, Darren, sorry, with Danny's comment there, 19 clean sheets, and that's harsh, like, from obviously the OLB. I get where Danny's coming from there, but would that not be based on the defenders doing getting him out of a hole?
I think so, Dylan. I think so, and I think the season before as well, he had plenty of clean sheets as well. But I do think it's down to Daniel Farke's playing style. We always go about it risk averse, how he sets up against other teams. Or we're very much, kind of solid foundation for us and kind of build from there. And again, for me, it's the likes of Joe Rodon at the back there. Ampadu, Strike, Firpo, Bogle. We're gonna get into them all, but for me, I know where Danny's coming from. Obviously, Mez gets the plaudits for the clean sheets. But I think it does have a lot to do with the defence.
I'll change this one. This is me asking for your opinion.
Yeah.
Can you name a single game throughout the whole season where you stood out and went, "Wow, maybe I played well," or stood out for you in a game against anyone that you were surprised, or you went back to Bielsa days where he kind of seemed a bit more at it, if that makes sense? Is there a game this season that stood out for you? I
think Dylan, after Sunderland, after he made the mistake at Sunderland, we're all kind of calling for his head then. I think he kind of steadied the ship there, and he was okay. He was doing the kind of necessities, what we needed him to do. The odd kind of hiccup here and there. I remember Preston away, the one down low to his right hand side where he should have done a little bit better with. There was times where he was okay, Dylan, where we did do our player ratings and we kind of said to him he was okay today. He wasn't the worst. But again, I go back to the point, I feel like he's lost us more points this season than what he's won us. And I think the proof is in the pudding, Dylan. And all we can do is look at the facts in front of us. Mm-hmm. We look so much better at the back and so much more solid and so much more well-rounded with Carl Darlow in the nets there. Yeah. It just felt a lot more secure with him in there. And, Farke ultimately was a late decision to take him out of the firing line and put Darlow in. I think so. I think it probably could have happened a couple of weeks earlier than that, probably after Hull. But ultimately, he got the decision right in the end. It could have been a little bit easy for us in the run end, but look, it's Leeds United. We never do things the easy way. But I think we could sit here and talk about Elan Melli all night. We'll move on to Jayden Bogle, Dylan. For me, by far the best right back in the league. I think he's been absolutely sensational this season. 8.5, I think, is probably just about on the money. I think if he kind of had a better start to the season, we remember kind of that Portsmouth game and a couple of games after that where he was a little bit kind of, his defensive kind of side of the game wasn't quite there, and we knew that what type of right back they were getting in Jayden Bogle, the one kind of getting forward, assists, goal, creating, and we did know defensively wise in that Sheffield United team that he was a little bit acceptable going the other way. But I thought he proved immensely, and as the weeks went on, he just got stronger and stronger, didn't he?
Yeah, Darren, I did say this, I think, when he kind of dropped his head a little bit. But considering Bogle's move from Sheffield to Leeds, that wasn't an easy decision on his part or the club's part, or just, an easy thing to do, being hated from a previous club. Against Sheffield Wednesday early on in the season with the guy with the pie, which we all can't forget, what a legend that fella is, by the way. But that was the standout game for me with Bogle. I thought that's where I was like, wow, this is why we got him.
Yeah.
But then, look, as you said, he kind of dropped a bit in performance. His defence wasn't overly pleased with. Well, I wasn't anyway. But was going forward, always was. Then he started to link up with Dan James an awful lot. And then just became more confident. Then he started cutting inside a bit more. Just a different free-flow right back to what we've seen in previous years. So I have to agree with what you said there at the start of the statement. He is the best right back in the league.
Yeah, I think so. Alan. I
agree with that.
I'm looking forward, Dylan, to see him in the Premier League. I really am. And look, there's always going to be this question mark. And again, we're going to do a video, in a couple of weeks' time about this squad and, kind of sort of a keep loan sell sort of thing, and who can kind of make the step up to the Premier League. And again, we'll get your guys' opinion on it as well. But I'm very interested to see how he gets on in the Premier League, Dylan. I really am, because I think Daniel Farke has made him a better player. Like what he's done with most of these Leeds United players, and Dan James, he's definitely brought on Rodon. He's improved Ampadu as well. He's even what he's done with Solomon as well, a player that was essentially broken his career, who was, kind of going the other way, has kind of pulled his career back as well. So he's done great jobs with players. Can he do it in the Premier League? Look, at the proof will be in the pudding. So I'm interested to see how he gets on in the Premier League. Let's move on then, Dylan, to the next two. Now, next up then is Junior Firpo and Ethan Ampadu. Junior Firpo, Dylan, for me, I don't know how he didn't get in the team of the season. Thought he's been absolutely brilliant. Harrison Burrows got in ahead of him. Maybe at times, if I'm being hypercritical of Junior Firpo, I think is probably his discipline again let him down a little bit. I remember the Millwall game where he lost his head a little bit and got sent off and put us under a little bit of pressure. And we'll obviously get on to speaking about Sam Boyer and how he kind of filled the gaps there. But yeah, if I'm being hypercritical, I think at times he probably let himself down discipline wise. And then I remember when he came back, I remember Blackburn away when we lost that game, he was very, very poor when he came back in. It took a couple of weeks. So that's probably why he doesn't kind of get in the team of the season. But I think a rating of 8, Dylan, I think is good. His goals and assists, I always remember that goal. Sheffield United away, beautiful header to get us back into the game. What did you make of Junior Firpo's season? And we'll ask the question now, and we'll ask the question to the guys in the chat. Should he be offered a contract in the Premier League?
Considering I got him a FIFA, yeah. No, he's... I do like Firpo, I do. And there's always that doubt in the back of your head to Premier League Firpo that we did have. But I think last season and this season he's proved the quality and the player that he can be, and his potential can go further. But he is still young, don't get me wrong, he's 28. But maybe it's something, maybe you want to be looking at someone a bit more younger, if that makes sense. But then at the same time, he's good to kind of have cover. I don't know, Darren, I'm kind of 50-50 on it, if I'm being honest with you, because if you said to me now, because of FFP or whatever it's called, I'd probably like to see, say, Firpo go as opposed to Bogle, if that makes sense. So I don't want him to go, but then, look, some people have to jump ship. But,
it looks, we're going to see a couple of outgoings, Dylan, and I think, probably unfortunately and sadly, I think Junior Firpo might be one of them, because I think his turnaround at the club from the player that we've seen in the Premier League, who was probably borderline being hated at the club, to turn around to be absolutely loved, almost legend, like some people probably say. The status that he's gained, especially during that trophy parade, and his antics kind of during it with Ampadu as well. He's became a real fan favourite, Junior Firpo, Dylan, and yeah, look, I think Ampadu more or less confirmed it as well. That looks like he is going to be off to bet to hear what Danny says. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens if the club even offer him a contract, or are they kind of thinking, and do they kind of have up their sleeves a different sort of left back to bring in? So let us know in the chat, lads, what you think of Junior Firpo's rating of 8.
We're more or less going to have to kick 2 left backs if Firpo goes, because Boyer's clearly not going to be.
Yeah, well, again, Boyer's going to be another conversation, isn't he? Whether he's
definitely keep Firpo and then get another left back, if that makes sense. There's just no cover there. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on then to the captain then, Dylan, Ethan Ampadu. Sorry, excuse me. The captain, Ethan Ampadu, Dylan, 7.5. Danny says a little bit high. I think it's been a very stop-start season for Ampadu. We obviously remember the injury that he got right at the very start, Dylan, with Gruev, essentially the week after each other, and that's when we seen that partnership of Tanaka and Rotwell in there. And, maybe if them injuries didn't happen, we wouldn't have seen Rotwell and Tanaka as early as what we did. I don't think we would have. But I think I look at the Ampadu one a little bit kind of more broadly. Some people, and especially we've obviously been at loggerheads a couple of times as well, the Ampadu and Gruev situation. But I think I kind of look at it when Ampadu came back into the team, Dylan, the difference that he made. And I remember that Christmas period, and Leeds United notoriously around that Christmas period and Boxing Day, we've been horrendous. And our away performances were really, really bad up until that. He came back in, and with back-to-back away fixtures at Stoke and Derby. And he came in, Dylan, after a very, very long stretch out, and he was sensational. I thought he was very, very good in them 2 games.
Yeah.
Added that something a little bit different. Then I thought we missed him again for a couple of weeks. You know, I remember like in the lead of that Luton game, we looked a little bit ropey again. You know, the draw at Swansea when they come back on, we didn't look quite the same team without the leader in there. You know, he mightn't constantly be kind of dictating the play, but I think he's a voice on the pitch, and I think he's massively missed when he's not there. And again, I think coming back in then for the run in, I think was massive, and I think he came back 3 or 4 weeks early than what predicted as well. I just think you can't underestimate Ampadu's position in this team at the moment and in the championship. Look at next season is going to be a totally different ball game for him. Again, question mark like the whole lot of him. Can he take a step up to the Premier League? You know, it remains to be seen. But I think 7.5, I know Danny says is a little bit high, but I just think his importance around the team, I probably just agree with that. I think that's probably bang on. What do you think?
Yeah, like he's a good role model. He's a good captain. You know, there was times there he made a mistake, remember, and I think he slipped or something, remember, or he gave away.
It was the one against Sunderland when he let Isidore in, when he let him turn him.
Yeah, but then you can see that the team kind of got behind them, and that's what you love to see when your captain is down in the dumps and makes that mistake, that the team can lift your spirits. So they obviously, you know, look up to him, not just as a captain, but like, do you know what I mean? They obviously see very highly of him. You know, at times he slows the ball down an awful lot for me. And what I will say, I'd rather him at the back with Rodon. I think it's, I just have to be honest with you. No disrespect to Stroke, I just think Ampadu fits that partnership, as you would say, the someone said on Twitter, the Welsh triangle with Darlow, Rodon and Ampadu.
I think he's better in there, Dylan. I agree with you. I think at the start of the season it was very much like we need Ampadu in midfield, and kind of seeing him in midfield at times. He slowed it down a little bit too much, and he did at times as well at centre back. But I think in midfield it looked a lot worse when you know, when he was in there. I do think he looked a lot better, and probably it's just a partnership with him, Rodon, and like you said, Darlow towards the end of the season, I thought it was very, very good. So yeah, I probably agree. I probably think it's just about bang on.
Yeah,
I have to agree. Let's move on then to the next two then. So Strike and Joe Rodon. Dylan, first let's talk about Pascal Strike again. Towards the end of the season, kind of had his...
Just his injuries and normal injuries.
He was sensational, Dylan, at the start, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, he was good. Yeah,
him and Rodon's partnership, I thought, was brilliant at the start of the season. They looked like at the very start of the season, you could see they were kind of getting to know each other, because we were used to seeing Ampadu and Rodon in there, but they built up a partnership. But then again, coming towards the end of the season, Strike, he picks up them injuries again, and, you know, again, he misses the end of the season. But overall, the OLB audience has gone with a 7 for him. What do you think about that?
Steady on. I probably would have gave him an 8. He didn't do anything wrong for me as such. Once or twice got pulled and dragged all over the place. Ball watching once or twice, but he's got great goals. Got us out of a hole when he needed it. The partnership, as you said, with Rodon is kind of steady on there, you know. I just think what Ampadu, it's just, it's like Rodon has that kind of trust and that mentality, that knowing that Ampadu was beside him. You know, plus they played together for a while, so it's that connection. But Stroke's been phenomenal as well, I have to say. He does his job well. Yeah, maybe 8. Maybe I would have gave him an 8, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I look, Dylan, probably when I think of Pascal Struijk, I think it's hard to look past the 2 goals against Sunderland when he was coming on in that game, and we obviously did a watch along for it. And if you go back and watch, just before Struijk came on, I said, I can't believe he's bringing on Struijk. We're chasing the game here, and we're bringing on Pascal Struijk, and he goes and scores 2 goals in that game. And again, he gave us a moment that, you know, we'll all remember. You know, 10, 12 years time, we'll look back and we'll think, oh, remember that game, Pascal Struijk coming on and scoring them 2 goals with Joe Rotwell being the provider. So yeah, I think he's had a steady season, and again, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on in the Premier League, because injury wise, I think he's starting to show a little bit of frailty there, especially towards the end of the season. Obviously there's less games in the Premier League, but it's going to be more intense, it's going to require more quality. Can he take the step up to the Premier League again? It like all these players, Dylan, there's going to be a massive ask of them. There's definitely potential there. You can see his defending is good, but yeah, we'll see what happens with him. Let's move on then, Dylan, to Joe Rodon. For me, personally, I'm going to go with my player of the year. I think a 9 is well warranted. I'd even probably go with 9.5 or possibly a 10. I thought he was brilliant, Dylan. I really, really do. And I said it to you in Jam after one of our match reactions. When I said I worry about this Leeds United team, what would it have been like if Joe Rodon got injured at any time? we had Ampadu out, we'd Gruev out, we'd Bogle out for a couple of games. Firpo, we'd constant mix up in midfield with the goalkeeper situation with Pirro and Joseph, the to and fro. The Aronson kind of sort of, should we take him in? Should we swap him with Willie Nanto? There was always one player, Dylan, who was a stalwart in that team, and that was Joe Rodon, was starting every single week. And I think what would have looked like if he did get an injury, even if it was for 2, 3, 4 weeks, even a slight little injury, what would it have been like if someone in there? And I just think he would have been a massive miss. I think if anyone got injured in this team, I thought Joe Rodon would have been detrimental.
He was just a pure warrior, wasn't he? A battle warrior. He was coming out with, bandages, cuts, blood, and he didn't get injured. Like, what a man. What a man. That man's a machine. Yeah, Darren, I have to agree. I will give it a 9. It was a bit of a shaky start to the season, if you remember. I think we were all kind of saying, the Rodon that we had last season isn't the same as this season, but obviously it just took him a while to get used to new faces and be that bit more comfortable, and obviously to settle into Leeds as well. But yeah, he's been immense. He's not my player of the season, and I'll tell you why coming up to other players, but he's definitely a contender, and he's definitely in the top 3 for it, if that makes sense.
Love it. Let us know what you think as well, as always, in the comments below, lads. Because again, look at this is the OLB audience score, so we want to get the all-rounder here. Let's move on then, Dylan. Dan James and Joe Rotwell first. I think we have to go to Dan James, Dylan, who did get the Leeds United Player of the Season. He got a 9. Dylan, he was sensational, wasn't he, this year?
I'd give him 11 because he is my player of the season. That man played absolutely unbelievable football this year, and he doesn't get enough praise. He bleeds Leeds United. He gets it. They all get it, but James, for some reason, really gets it. And I'm not just saying that because it was something Evie had said earlier on in the season about Dan James. And it's just that kind of, when the team is down, he's still running, he's still sliding in, he's still wanting the ball, he's still trying to make something. Now, with that being said, you have to give some sort of praise to Bogle, because the partnership link-up play between them two was phenomenal throughout the season.
Yeah, they were brilliant, weren't they? Yeah.
But the goals that James scored, his runs, like being injured and coming in and still making an impact, early in the season. I love DJ, and to be fair, he's definitely one of my favourite players. I love him, and yeah, he deserves it. Player of the season for me.
Yeah. Danny says here DJ should have been a 10. Yeah, Danny, look at the OLB audience score. They were all went with a 9 for DJ. Tanaka should be a 3. Winding Sean Healy up, and Tabby says DJ, and he, again, another one that's became a real fan favourite. Ellen Road, who thought when he went out on that loan spell to Fulham, whoever thought he would have came back and had this much of an impact on the
I thought
fan
he was
base.
finished at Leeds.
Yeah, I think we all did, Dylan. Jam says here DJ has been phenomenal, and he gets what it means to play for Leeds. He really does.
Yeah.
I think he epitomises side before self. Let's move on then, Dylan, to Joe Rotwell, who again I think was brilliant this season. When he first came in, I look back to that game. It was against Sheffield United. I remember at home with Tanaka, and I remember thinking to myself, can he kind of step up to the plate? He was very, very good, Dylan. And when he first came in and we brought him in on loan, again, look, there was a lot of question marks around him. What are Leeds United doing, here bringing in a player like this? But he was a very, very good squad player this year, Joe Rotwell, wasn't he? Set pieces, brilliant.
Yeah. Darren, you said it when Abadou got injured. Tanaka and him coming in and just making the impact that they did, I thought was phenomenal. And when Abadou was injured, we were kind of, really every video, we were kind of saying, when Abadou does come back, well, what's going to happen here? Like, he was getting dropped. If I'm being honest with you, 7.5 I think is very harsh. Because I thought Rotwell was unbelievable as well, lads. An 8.5, if I'm being honest. Maybe an 8. I just think he's been brilliant. Unfortunate, the injury, etc. He done his job when he needed to. And he went under the radar an awful lot. So, yeah. That's where I am with Rotwell.
Question for yourself and the guys in the chat, Dylan. Do you think Leeds United should offer him a contract in the Premier League?
No. I feel like...
Why?
let's say, for the reason we can't be too loyal to certain people.
Yeah.
And not because, no disrespect to Rotwell, just what's happened to Leeds in the past with certain players. And I feel like maybe it's refresh. We need a shake
And he
up.
thinks no.
You know, there's a lot of investment and work that needs to go into this team.
Yeah.
Maybe Rotwell. I just don't think Rotwell's the man for me. But unbelievable this season.
Yeah, I think definitely a decent championship and a decent squad player done. So I agree with you. I think we should be looking to kind of upgrade that midfield, and if we are going to be under them restrictions, what we're talking about, the PSR, and a couple of the players are going to have to leave to kind of to balance the books a little bit, you know, to kind of give us that extra bit of spending power. I think when you look at Joe Rotwell, is he going to be a player to bring in? Yeah, I'm not too sure. But again, look, you wouldn't know what the club is thinking about, and you wouldn't know what Daniel Farke is thinking about, and kind of what impact that he has had on the dressing room as well. Jam agrees. Jam says not for me as well. So yeah, going to seem to be the general one as well. Philip says here, have you seen that video of DJ having a little cheeky pop at us, saying that we've taken long to get him a song? It was funny that I did see it. That was at the awards one. Yeah, I think so, Philip, and I think it's probably like that as well. I think like Mez doesn't have a song. Daniel Farke really kind of just has the general kind of Daniel Farke, and I think with DJ becoming a fan favourite and how well he played the season, probably seen him kind of get that song. And it's mad then when you see players coming in like Tanaka, he kind of instantly has a song straight away. I remember Ampadu didn't even play a game for the club, and we had his song straight away. So it's one of them, isn't it? If you kind of someone has the creativity to come up with something good, and I love DJ's song now as well. I think it's absolutely class. It's very good, and I think it epitomises him. Do you know what I mean? And there's times when we do need a little bit of fire. He always was the one to give the little bit of spark. And how many defenders did he leave on his arse this season? Let's be honest as well. So
some goals he scored as well this season.
Some of the goals he scored was unbelievable as well. So
celebrations.
Philip says love DJ, and I think we all do. And I'm really really looking forward to seeing him in the Premier League, especially. He didn't really get a proper kind of crack at it, didn't he? The last time he was out of position, you know, kind of playing, you know, that kind of 10 position, playing a striker under Bielsa, never really got that kind of proper go at it down the wing. So it'll be very interesting to see how he kind of gets on down there. Rotwell would be cheap. Yeah, it depends. And look at, you know, whether the club go deal, it remains to be seen. Philip, for me, I'd like to kind of be looking elsewhere to kind of blossom that midfield a little bit more with a little bit more quality. But we definitely need, I kind of emphasise this one, we definitely need something with set piece quality, because that's something we missed this year. And if Joe Rotwell is going to be a player that we're not going to be looking at in the Premier League, then we definitely need someone to come in that's going to have that set piece quality. I really think so, because it's Premier League games. We know how it's fine lines in the Premier League, and I think set pieces are going to be massive next season for Leeds. So we'll see what happens. Matty from Imagine Not Being Leeds is in the building. Big up, Matty. Hope you're keeping well, pal. Great to see you both back. Check your social, lads. I've just nominated you for a nice bucket challenge. Oh, thanks very much for that one, pal. Yeah, just what I wanted. I have a little bit of a cold and all. I mean, could sort me out. Do you know, I actually have a bit of a noise pad. I'll do it for you.
I didn't see that comment.
I don't have any socials. We'll check that out, matey. Cheers, pal. We'll take a look at it after this, buddy. Right, moving on. Let's move on to the one Dylan, Patrick Bamford and Joe Pirro. First of all, we have to talk about Patrick Bamford. Dylan, it was something that we said all year that we wanted him to finish his Leeds United career in a good way, whether it is the end of his career at Leeds United. But, you know, look at again, there's another one remains to be seen. Didn't play a lot this year. I actually thought the OLB audience were very nice, let's say, to give him a 5, because I think he hasn't really done much this season, Dylan, has he?
No, you know, apart
from singing Unwritten with Ampadu, he was very good at that.
I was slating him throughout the whole season. Literally. And I feel bad because when he did come back and he did the impact against Middlesbrough, wasn't it? I thought he done unbelievable, and I kind of had this new love for Bamford, because I was saying to myself, for 40 grand a week sitting on the bench, you're doing nothing, but you're going on podcasts and you're badmouthing about Leeds, but then you kind of turn it all around. Why don't you become a legend and go out on a high? And to be fair, I think he's actually done that. So, I actually think a 5 is reasonably right.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. I thought it was like a little bit lenient. I don't think he's obviously contributed much this year at all. A couple of games he came on and kind of put himself about, and he obviously touched on it himself when he did the interview on the open top bus during the parade. He said he didn't play anywhere near as much as what he would have liked to play on a course. Look, he's a footballer at the end of the day. He does want to be on the pitch, but his body just doesn't hold up to it, unfortunately. And it's one of them with Patrick Bamford where I don't think we can become too reliant on him. Will he be here next year? There's obviously talks about him going off to Wrexham again. It's another one that remains to be seen. There's going to be a lot of movement in this squad in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, let us know what you think in the comments, lads. Let us know, Patrick Bamford, do you think a 5 is warranted? Let's move on then, Dylan, to our top goal scorer, Joe Pirro. Again, another one that I was surprised with because I probably thought he deserved a little bit more than an 8. Didn't get in the team of the year. Josh Sargent obviously got in ahead of him as well. What have you made of Joe Pirro this season, Dylan? Because I think eventually this season we've seen the player that we signed last year that we thought was going to be the replacement for Patrick Bamford.
I'm not happy with that rating anyway. I'm actually very disappointed with that. For new people that are watching, or people that know me, Danny, Sean, and etc. Pirro is like my lover. Like, I love him. I absolutely love him. I adore him. And when everyone was saying Joseph or someone else, I was saying Pirro. And Matty from Imagine Not Being Leeds did get me a Pirro doll, and it's been hanging up ever since. So, top goal scorer, 4 goals to secure his promotion, I think kind of tells a lot. Yeah, he's quality, lads. He's not. Yeah. Towards the end of the season, Darren, he kind of started to kind of play football as opposed to just scoring goals. Dropped into the 10, moved the ball well, he held up the ball.
Play well. Improved a lot, wasn't it? I think
definitely. Towards the end, the second half of the season.
I always remember that pass, Dylan. That pass to Willie Nanto was just
unbelievable.
If he could do that all the time.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And it'd be interesting to see him in the Premier League, Dylan. And, I've spoken to a couple of Leeds fans and I've kind of seen it online. There's people writing him off already. And I think that's mental. I think, and it goes back to the Fark situation. We'll get to Daniel Fark as well. I don't think you should be writing anybody off, Dylan, because it's totally different leagues. And yeah, it's up in quality, but it's not as physical. And I think Joe Pirro is one of them players that he's technically very good. He's a goal scorer. He knows where the back of the net is. And I think that's going to be so important in the Premier League, Dylan. I think at times maybe his movement, I'd like it to be a little bit more kind of Patrick Bamford type, do you know what I mean? Trying to get in behind, get into the box, maybe make a run to the front post. There's times that's probably where my criticism comes from all the years playing football. And when he used to play striker as well, the manager used to always say to me, make that run. I don't care how many times, make the run. If you don't get the ball 9 times out of 10, that one time you get it, you'll be there to put the ball in the back of the net. And that's what I think with Joe Pirro as well. There's times where he does be a little bit laboured outside the box, and that, again, look, it could be kind of tactics from Daniel Fark to kind of leave him out there a little bit, and he's always kind of arriving at the box a little bit late. But there's times I kind of like my striker to get in the box and kind of finish goals, and I think that's something that he probably could add to his game a little bit more in the Premier League is get in there and kind of finish the chances.
He's banging in goals, lads. Everyone needs to just relax themselves. See how he gets on in the Prem. But like, just looking there, Danny he just hasn't got the pace for the Prem.
Yeah, look at
bookmarking now. Pirro hat-trick first day of the season.
What I say, I mean, he looks it. Tabby says, totally agree. Players who become too cozy within this team think that they can't be done without creating staleness. And no good for the players that give their all. No more Bamford. Thanks for your service. And I think that probably is a Tabby. And I think
sums it all up, to be honest, in that comment.
This time, I think that we can't kind of be, sentiment FC. I think we do have to be a little bit. Yeah, we have to be a little bit more ruthless. That. So I agree with you there, Tabby. It's time, and it's the likes of Rotwell. It's again, look, it's thanks very much for what you've done. It's looking at Patrick Bamford again. You've been a brilliant servant to the club. You got promoted twice. You're a double champion. Thanks very much for your service. But that has to become a stage where we need to take that next kind of level. Just hasn't got the pace for the Premier League. Danny's talking about Pirro there. Yeah, I do agree. He doesn't have the pace, Danny, but I think if he gets in there, he's definitely a goal scorer. He scored goals, and you can't question for him. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that, Jan. Definitely 100%. You can't question him from scoring goals. Let's move on then, Dylan, to Brendan Aronson and Manar Solomon. First of all, we'll start with Brendan Aronson, our number 10 for the whole season. Daniel Fark obviously touched on it at the end of the summer window last year about wanting the 10. He didn't get it. He touched on it again in January that we didn't get it, and then we seen him then doing an interview with Bryn Law and Tony DeRigo as well after we got promoted inside Ellen Road, and he spoke about he was a little bit jealous of other clubs doing a bit of business in January and touched on the number 10 position as well. I think probably a 7 for it's probably a 6 for Brendan Aronson. Dylan, for me, is a little bit harsh. I think maybe more a 7, because I think we're probably doing him a little bit of disservice here, because I think his all round game for Leeds United this season, and the pressure that he applies, he was very, very important to this Leeds team, Dylan. I really do. Did he get the goals and assists? No, he didn't, but I still think he's a very important player to this team, or was this season.
This season, yeah. I don't know what to think about next season, but the only thing that annoys me with Aronson, when he gets the chance to shoot, he blooms it over the bar.
His shooting is poor. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, his shooting is poor.
His pressing and his running, he'd make an unbelievable runner.
Athletics, yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think the score was a bit low. A 7 probably would have been a bit more.
I think a 7 probably is like a middle of the road kind of score. Yeah, that kind of seems like a solid score, doesn't it? And I think that's probably what he deserved. Or I do. And again, look, he was still part of a promotion winning team, and he was essentially in there the whole season. Was he the number 10 that we wanted? No, but he did score us goals. And you look back to that Portsmouth game at the start of the season when he comes on, he gets his goal, and he could have, he could have basically writ all the wrongs there if he scored that fourth goal and won us the 3 points that day. But I thought he's had a solid season, so I think maybe one more point. He probably deserves one more than that. Let's move on, Dylan to Manor Solomon. For me, he's been unbelievable. Like, you run out of words to describe him, and you look back to the start, Dylan, when he obviously had the slip at Burnley and kind of had a bit of a ropey start, and he had the back injury then, and people were kind of writing him off a little bit, like with Jed Spence, and kind of send him back, and he's not good enough. And we were all kind of we were on around that time. We were obviously on the Just Joe football show, and we spoke with Joe as well, and we're kind of saying everyone kind of just calm down a little bit and give the man time, just quality in there. If Daniel Farr can kind of get him fit and get him on the pitch, we know what he can do, and we've seen it with Sam Boyram as well, that he's used to kind of managing players, Dylan, that have notoriously a history of being injured.
Yeah, it was a tough time for him when the back injury went, and I was one of them to slate him as well. To be fair, when he came back, he looked like he had a bit of timber on him. I can't say much because I'm a fatty, but Solomon has been so underrated in this squad, lads.
Yeah,
he's phenomenal. And I think maybe considering last season with Somerville, he gave us that excitement, the goals that he was scoring. And then we got Ramazani, and we were kind of expecting, if that makes sense, something similar. But Solomon, he's a completely different player. Completely different. I know he can cut in on his right. He scored that beautiful goal. Who was that against?
He scored a cracker against Preston. A very good one against Preston. He scored a very important one against Oxford as well when we got that 1-0 win down there. It was a tough place to go. And then obviously... Again, he gets the one then to seal the championship. Dylan, for me, it was. Well, I even think when I see it in my head, it kind of does. It brings the tears to my eyes, because it was just sensational to finish, Dylan, that he scored. And he's been a very, very important part of this team. And again, the quality we've seen, and like what Jam says here, when he speaks about Manor Solomon, where's it gone? Sorry, what the was in it? Yeah, Manor, sorry, here, where he speaks about, I'd actually probably say 9 for Manor Solomon, just because he's been immense the past couple of weeks. And I think that as well, then I think the last couple of weeks he's brought his game to another level, a little bit kind of like Dan James since he's been injured. He was the one then to kind of take the mantle and step up and pull us over the line.
Would you sign him?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. 100%. Yeah, 100%. Fully fit Manor Solomon in the Premier League is a danger to them. Spurs signed him for a reason. There's a player in there, 100%. I think as long as Daniel Fark's here, if Manor Solomon's here as well, he'll know how to manage him as well. He'll know his injury record, his injury history, how to manage him. So I think that could go hand in hand. I really, really do. I think maybe if we sign Solomon and Fark goes, another manager comes in, how will he kind of deal with him? Will he want him to kind of constantly try and batter himself? I think if you could imagine a Manor Solomon under Bielsa, I think his body would break down very easily. I think different managers will be able to kind of pick and choose, when they can kind of push him a little bit more. But for me, let us know what you think in the chat below. I think Manor Solomon definitely should be a signing that we should take. What do you think, Dylan? Do you think we should?
For the right price there, yeah, because I wouldn't go mad.
Well, I think Levy's going to hammer us. I really do. We have a decent connection with Spurs, obviously the Archie and the road on sort of thing. I heard someone kind of say as well, if we do go for Solomon, is there going to be another kind of swappy kind of deal in there? Are they going to be looking at any of this Leeds United team potentially Tanaka, and it kind of just put the chills up me. I was like, oh, if it means losing Tanaka, I'm not quite sure.
Why would you even say something like that?
It's just the
Why
way
put
it's
that
the way
into my
Levy it's the
head?
way Levy works, Dylan. Daniel Levy at Spurs has been a smooth
best.
operator for them for a long time, and he always gets the best deal. And I think he's going to be one of them as well. I think we're not going to get Manor Solomon for a cut price. He's going to want the asking price, and he's going to want to get something over.
What do you reckon he's worth? Oh, sorry, what do you reckon we'd buy him for?
I'd say they're probably going to look anywhere, probably 20, 25 million for him, Dylan. I'd say that's what they're going to ask for. Is there going to be too much for Leeds United to splash? I'm not too sure. Again, it kind of depends on the kitty, doesn't it?
I think the kitty's out just over 100, isn't it?
They're saying about 150, yeah, 150. Shane Kavanagh's in the building. He says, "How are you lads?
Right.
Aren't in squad at best in the Premier League. Could easily be sold." And yeah, I think he might be. Shane, they're going to be interested to see over the next couple of weeks. Guy Location says Solomon is my hero, 8.5. Yeah, that's a decent score. That one. Sorry, this one here then as well. Where's that not coming up for me? What's that happening there? There we go. Solomon will seriously have to up his work rate. Great going forward, no doubt. But helping his left back, yeah, and look at that something in the Premier League as well. And will Leeds kind of be looking at that, Shane? A decent sort of left back there who can kind of hold around a little bit more, because we know Junior Firpo at times seems to just take the shackles off and just says, I'm going to play up front, and you can't really have that in the Premier League, can you? So, and I think sometimes that's kind of outdone Solomon as well. So yeah, that's a really, really good point there with that one, Shane. In the Premier League, really, really good point. What's going on here? Jam says, yeah, I would 100% sign him. Needs to lose some weight though. Don't we all, buddy? 100% don't we all. Right, let's move on then, Dylan. Next up then is Largy Ramazani and Matteo Joseph, Dylan. Go with Largy first, because he's had a bit of a weird season, Largy Ramazani.
It's a mixed bag. Yeah, very weird. I going back to what I said with Solomon, Somerville and Ramazani, when Somerville did leave, and obviously we got Ramazani. He just looks this kind of exciting player, the one that has to kind of stand out. We've seen it at the parade. He's busting out the moves. Unbelievable dance skills. When he scores, he does an unbelievable backflip. So young lads and young Leeds fans love to see that kind of excitement. I know I did growing up, but he just kind of went missing at times throughout the season, and do you know what? I don't think that's a fault of his own. I just think Solomon was he just couldn't get ahead of Solomon. He's still a young man, Ramazani. His ceiling is so high because he's skillful, he's athletic, his agility. He has that low centre of gravity, by him. So
he shoot off both feet as well, Dylan.
Yeah, exactly. And his quick turning, that goal that he scored, he kind of literally just done 180 on his body and scored a screamer. So yeah, look, will he do it in the Prem? Only time will tell. But look, his ceiling is so high that's what's making me, But
yeah.
6, yeah.
I think there's more out of him, Dylan. I really do. I think when we look back before his injury, he was really, really good. And when he did get the ankle injury, do you remember we were worried kind of as a fan base then, because we were losing probably one of our most creative players, and his pace as well, even running with the ball. He's very, very quick running with it. I remember Cardiff away, seeing him down there, the goal that he scores, his pace, it was just, he was fighting
it was
on
his
that
first
day.
goal, wasn't it, actually?
Yeah, some of the runs he was making, he was really good, and then he obviously gets the injury, and then he comes back to, and he was very, very rusty for a long time. And then he had that sort of weird situation then when Isaac Smith was coming on ahead of him when he was sitting on the bench, and Isaac Smith coming on playing a winger when you have a winger in Ramazani there. And I think it was probably Daniel Farke, probably giving him a bit of kick up the backside a little bit, kind of saying, look, there's a full back getting in ahead of you here, you need to be doing a little bit more. But we seen him then, Dylan, scoring his 2 goals then as well against Bristol City. He was very, very good that day. 2 great goals, one arriving at the back post and one lovely touch and finish off his left foot. So there's definitely potential there in the player, and he's won in the Premier League. I'd be keen to see how he gets on.
Yeah, 100%. I'm optimistic when it comes to Largy Ramazani, but his ceiling, look at Sean.
Sean says Largy 8 for his party and antics. Joseph 2, and that's been nice, yeah. And I think that 8 for his party. He's been a real character, hasn't he? During promotion, Dylan, he's brilliant, singing and dancing. I seen one as well, he's dancing with a stool as well in a pub in Leeds with other fans around him. Just
he's mad,
absolute character, and you need characters like that in the dressing room as well.
Yeah,
Dylan, don't you?
100%, 110%, 100%.
Yeah. Let's move on then, Dylan, to Mateo Joseph, and I think this is one that's going to divide opinion massively, because I think the start of the season, we seen him in pre-season. He was brilliant. He kind of gave us all high hopes. There was a couple of wild takes from Leeds fans saying he was going to be the top goal scorer in the championship as well. And it's kind of like a little bit, whoa, we need to slow down here a little bit. Like, what are we basing this off? And we kind of had that ebb and flow between him and Pirro there for a while. And we spoke about it so much, and especially when Matty from Imagine not being Leeds, the traders were constantly saying it. We need Daniel Farke just to pick one of them and stick with them, or one of them needs to just grab the short and make it their own. And Pirro eventually did go on and do that. Shane says here, sell Joseph, he's rubbish, he'll never make it in the Prem.
Yeah.
I'm probably one of them, Shane, where I think, would you agree, Dylan? Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily sell. I definitely put him on loan though.
I think alone. I think alone, Dylan. I'd like to see him on loan. I think we don't really have anything to lose with him at the minute. Maybe if we send him out on loan first and kind of see how he gets on then, and then we can kind of weigh it up after that. But I do agree with, in the Premier League, if you can't really do it in the Championship, how is he gonna kind of be expected to take that step up to the Premier League? So a 5 for Mateo Joseph, the same as Patrick Bamford. Not really a great score, Dylan, is it?
No, not at all. Like, what's he done really? He scored 1 or 2 good goals, but every time that he came on there, and he does this kind of press.
Yeah.
Didn't really do anything for us though, to be fair. So, to be fair, I kind of agree with Shane, sell, but, I wouldn't be opposed to loaning him out either.
Yeah. Shane says here, Ramazani, if he's happy coming off the bench, he'll be okay. Yeah. I think there's a player in there. I really do. I think there's more to come from. There's a lot more to see from Large. I agree with Philip there. I think I'd like to see a little bit more of him before I make any more of a judgment on him. Sorry. And Shane says, yeah, great, but he's not paid to dance, and that's exactly it. That's exactly it, Shane. Cut throat there, Shane.
Largy Ramazani, do.
It's a tune as well. That's what's stuck in my head as well. Let's move on then, Dylan, a little bit then to Josh Gilavogi and Sam Byram, Dylan. So 2 very interesting ones here, Dylan. We'll start with Joshua Gilavogi first. A 5 for him, Dylan. I think it's a little bit harsh, even though he hasn't played much. I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, he hasn't played much, and I never want to see him play in a centre-half position ever again.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But his character around the dressing room, he clearly has some sort of good relationship with Willie Nanto, because Willie Nanto, when he came on once or twice and scored goals, was the first person he ran to, so he obviously looked up to him.
Yeah.
But you know what, Darren, I'm going to throw something out here. I would definitely keep him around the club next season. Now, whether that's a player or whether that's, a management role, I'd like to see him obviously in a management role, but will he probably go play somewhere else? Yeah, possibly. But he's a great motivator. He's a great person to have around. That bit of maturity in him. And
I think he was a bit of a shrewd signing, Dylan, because obviously we had Kiyate as well. He was during that time as well when we only had Rotwell and Tanaka there, and we didn't have Gruev and Ampadu, and things were getting a little bit kind of hairy, and Rotwell kind of had that weird kind of hamstring. He wasn't out with the hamstring injury, but you could see him at the end of games holding his hamstring, and then eventually we went and we got Gilavogi in on loan, and he was one of them more so cover from the football club, and kind of a good piece of business at the time when we looked like we were a little bit short in midfield, when when everyone was fit. We should be absolutely stacked in that position. But I agree with what you were saying there, Dylan. I think it was a lot more than just a playing capacity from Gilavogi. He seems to be a real kind of figure around the dressing room, someone that they all look up to. We've seen that he had a couple of pictures up on his social media there, the Leeds jersey he signed, and I was looking at a couple of the messages on, and a lot of them are saying, thanks very much, Grande. Love you so much, look up to your grandpa and papa and stuff like that. So you could see the way the players kind of thought of him as that sort of kind of, father kind of look up to sort of figure, and that's essential. And the experience, he's played all across Europe and in the top leagues as well, and experience at this level it's really, really necessary, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Look, he obviously wants to continue playing football, and then you have to respect that, but as I said, it's always nice to have that kind of maturity in as Sean says there, for the dressing room experience. So yeah, but look, at the end of the day, it's a money business that we're in. We can't be sentimental, as you said, so we move on.
Jam says, yeah,
I
you
think
can
that-
tell the squad love him, which means a lot in today's game. I think it's just experience in the dressing room as well. That's lost an awful lot of characters over the couple of years, and a lot of experienced heads. When you look at, Liam Cooper going out the door last season, you've lost your Luke Galens, you've lost your Stuart Dallases. Obviously Dallas was like still in the dressing room. Cooper, that's a lot of experience. The know-hows, the be there's and done that. To kind of lose that experience from the dressing room to bring someone in like Gilavogi, I thought was a smart piece of business from the football club, Dylan. I really do, and I don't think it should be kind of understated. Playing capacity, like what you say, I'm not too sure, but I just think in and around the dressing room, I think he was vital. Let's move on then, Dylan, to Sam Boyram as well, Mr. Consistent. And I'm actually a little bit upset with this one, Dylan, the 6.5. I would have loved to see him get another little bit of a mark, at least a 7, because
I would have given him 7.5.
Yeah,
I think he's done a job every time he's came in there.
Everything he's been asked to do, that man has done it.
Yeah.
Does he kind of give you what Bogle and Fairport give you? No, we know that. But he comes in and he gives you the performance. I always remember that one as well. Swansea, Dylan, do you remember when Nonto scored in the last minute? He was brilliant to Swansea away. He was up and down. You could see him. He was absolutely knackered, and he still gave us all for his football club. And one thing I do say about him, a player that's so injury prone, so susceptible to injuries, he never shies away from a tackle, never ever goes in for every 50-50 ball, not right. Really epitomises, side before self and puts his body on the line for Leeds United. And we spoke about it as well, Dylan, kind of saying, especially that was your kind of period of coming in to really kind of supporting Leeds when Sam Boyram was moved on and he was kind of a hero of yours. To see him lift the championship with Leeds United was unbelievable, wasn't it?
It was brilliant. The photo that was put up. I've said this before. When I was playing football growing up, my friends would be your Ronaldo, your Rooney, Ronaldo, Rooney, whatever. I was Sam Boyram.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show. So for me to see him a whole lot, he had unfinished business with Leeds. And he brought Leeds back to where they belong, which is in the Premier League. So it's a lovely story, especially because he's a Leeds lad as well. And he came back to do what he needed to do. And you have to give the club 10 out of 10.
We've got 2 very good seasons out of him, Dylan, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. Sad to see him.
A little bit score. I think we do agree. I think we need a little bit more. And
I think
again,
7.5.
Is it one of them you kind of keep knocking around the dressing room? I'm not too sure. It'd be interesting to see what's going to happen with them. With Sam Boyram over the next couple of weeks. Let's move on then to Alex Cairns and El Tanaka. And if you're wondering kind of what way ideas are going to put together, to put up in the squad numbers as well. So I didn't just randomly pick or choose these, like going up in the squad number. So Alex Cairns still got a 3. I don't think there's really much to kind of say about him. The Leeds lads that was brought back to the club, and again probably one of them that was brought back to kind of push Melier a little bit more and kind of gain a little bit of experience. And one of them was kind of a little bit selfless, I think, coming back to the club, knew he wasn't going to play much, but was happy to return back to Leeds United and happy to kind of help push us over the line. So a 3 for Alex Cairns. So I think we'll move on to El Tanaka Dylan straight away. And again, Sean Healy's here in the building. A 9 for Tanaka Dylan. He was unbelievable this year.
He's the signing of the season. For the price that we got him for.
Yeah.
The deal that we done with Kamara, the one that we got for Kamara to exchange it and what we paid 3 million for Tanaka.
3.5 million, yeah. So we paid 5 for Kamara. We sold him for 10, and then we brought Tanaka in then for 3.5.
That's serious business.
Just the goals, still, and the goals he had to the game. The whole goal, obviously, got the goal of the season as well, which was a cracking goal, obviously, in a match that we should have won. His little flick as well that he scored, and then obviously his goal against Bristol at the back post. So he's popped up with goals as well.
Yeah, he's just been, I think he can play anywhere. He play centre defensive mid, centre mid. He can probably play even the number 10 if needed. Tanaka's such an underrated player, and to be fair, there's going to be a lot of eyes on him, especially coming into the summer.
Yeah.
But we need to hold on to him as much as we can. We are going to need him for the Premier League. We are going to need him.
Yeah. 100%.
So look, as what Jam said there, there's not enough words, to be fair, to talk about Tanaka. I think everyone knows. Like, if anyone that does come on and say Tanaka wasn't good enough, give your head a wobble, because everyone has seen it. So you don't know what to say, because he's been so consistent and so good. He's always happy. Scores great goals. Celebrations are great. So yeah.
Sensational. Well, moving on to 2, Dylan, there, where there's probably not too much to kind of speak about. Isaac Smith and James De Boyo. James De Boyo got a 4. I don't know, just the way it is. But Isaac Smith, Dylan, again, another weird sort of one. Was brought in from St. Gallen, was playing in Europe, one that we're excited about. Seeing a couple of clips of him obviously across YouTube that was circulating when we signed him at the time, but didn't really kind of get into the team. I remember when he kind of did get his opportunity as well, especially in the cup game against Millwall. He didn't really grab the opportunity with both hands, and then the last couple of weeks he was getting on ahead of Ramazani. What do you think Leeds United should do with Isaac Smith going forward? Is he one of them again that we keep as a squad player, or do we look to move him on? Do we loan him out? He's one of them weird kind of ones, isn't he?
Yeah, but like, he's been playing in all different positions. We don't know what his position is. I assumed that he was a left back. Then he was playing on the wing. Then he was, he's been thrown around. And look, it's clearly obvious. Fark did say in one of his press conferences, he's just simply not at it. That's the reason why he's maybe. And first, Fark deals with these players week in, week out. But yeah, Darren, there's a question to be had there, because if they're going to get rid of Firpo, they're going to rely on Schmidt, who hasn't really played. Fark saying that to a certain degree, you're not doing it on the football pitch in the training ground to get on in a championship league. What makes you think that he's going to do it in the Premier League? Yeah. So there's questions to be there. I'm not really too sure.
It's a weird one, isn't it? It's a weird one. It's a head scratch, that one there with Isaac Smith. What the club are going to do with him?
I definitely, maybe same thing, kind of similar to
maybe loan
him, Joseph, loan him out.
Yeah, possibly. Shane Kavanagh says here, last 4 players that we've covered all came into the club for 3.5 million. Clever fuckers, these people in the background, and they are, Dylan. I've seen a lot of people kind of panicking today, and it's been all over Talk Sport, and all the other content creators are kind of talking about Leeds United's ability to spend, supposedly anywhere from 100 to 150 million. People are like, is that going to be enough? Is that going to be enough? And we should be spending 200 million. We don't have to spend 200 million to stay in this league. And this is kind of my thinking, as what Shane's brought up here. You don't need to spend big to get good quality players in. We've seen it with Brighton as well.
There is
gems. There is gems, across Europe, and Tanaka is a prime example. There is gems out there that you can earn, for very, very little money, that could come in and make a massive impact in the Premier League and the division that you're in. So I don't think we necessarily have to go, if we go and spend 200 million on the dot, we turn around and go, well, that's it, Leeds are safe now, we've spent the 200 million. There shouldn't be, a figure on it to say that, right, if we spend 200 million, we're going to be safe. If we only spend 150, we're leaving it to chance. I think it's more so the player that comes in and what we do with that money, and Tanaka is a prime example of that as well, Dylan. So, like what Shane says, the people in the background here, they're smooth operators since they've came in here. Their business has been very, very good. They've got things right. And now it's time to put, kind of put the hands in the pocket and bluster the squad a little bit more. So it's going to be interesting to see, what they do. Tabby says, get rid, can't afford bench sitters. Yeah, Tabby, I'm like you as well, but if this is about Smith, I just feel like, to kind of bring him in and then kind of sell him. It's a bit of a weird one with Isaac Smith. Did the club kind of think of him as a longer term sort of project as a replacement for Firpo? I'm not too sure, so maybe they look at a loan. But we'll be interested. We're definitely going to do a buy loan sell in the next couple of weeks as well. So it'll be interesting to get your guys' thoughts on that one. Yeah, Shane, the 49ers know what they're doing, but 100%. Yeah, 100%. Sorry, Philip says here, it was £3.5 million, or was it euro? I think it was euro. Philip, because obviously he was in Germany. Be even cheaper than we first thought as well. The wife says, hello, late in Tim Washington, looking forward to Saturday. Yeah, we'll get on to Saturday as well. Let's move on, Dylan, the last couple then to get through. So let's talk about Carl Darlow, Dylan. For me, being absolutely brilliant this time that he's being called upon. Obviously, we brought in last season when we thought Meslier was about to go out the door. He was essentially being brought in as our number one. Meslier decides to stay. Doesn't play much at all last year. Meslier having a couple of ropey periods as well. This season, he was brought in, Dylan, towards you. And what have you made of Carl Darlow and the influence that he's had on this team over the last couple of weeks?
I think it was his ego, Darren, if I'm being honest. He had a job to do. He needed to step it up. He's an experienced goalkeeper. And he done the necessities, as I've said, that a goalkeeper should be doing. It's his job. Keep the ball out of the back of the net, and to be fair, Darlow's done that very well. Coming clean, catching the ball from a corner, not punching it. Yeah, he's done it. He's done it for me. Yeah. Premier League material.
Do you think a 7? Do you think a 7 is too lenient? It's too harsh?
I think it's about harsh. If I'm being honest with you, I probably would have went 8.
Really? Yeah.
Just a little bit. Yeah. I just think he's done well when the team was down. Like, at the end of the day, with Melier, making a hash of it, and it's obviously been chat from the media and forecast to answer these pressure questions. It's not just Melier that's down. The whole team is down because they haven't got a goalkeeper they don't feel confident to play with.
Yeah.
But they have with Darlow, and you put two and two together, you have Ampadu and Road on there. That makes that Welsh triangle. You've Dan James on the right wing. I'm a big fan when it comes to FIFA. Chemistry is very important, and it's clearly working.
What do you think then, Dylan, going forward? Because obviously, I think there's no denying that Leeds United need a goalkeeper in the Premier League. I think we definitely do need better than Darlow Melier. I know that might sound a little bit harsh, but we do need to be a little bit more cutthroat. We need a solid goalkeeper in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But the question is, Dylan, is Carl Darlow one of them that you keep around the squad, or is he potentially one of them that we say thanks very much for your services?
I'd probably keep him down. I still think there's quality there, for a good standard. He's played in the Premier League, he's played with top clubs. That, if a new goalkeeper gets injured, that you do have that kind of backup. So, I probably would keep him around the club, yeah.
Shane says here, no, not an 8 after 6 or 7 handy games. I say handy, Shane. I actually thought he came in at a really high pressure sort of period, Dylan, because I think it was around that time where all the eyes were on Carl Darlow coming in, because everyone was like, oh Jesus, Farks, they're making a big call here. If Darlow comes in and has, a ropey game and isn't quite up to standard, and again, we spoke about it, doing the basic goalkeeping, just catching the ball when it comes into the box, do you know what I mean, and kind of relieving the pressure. He done that, Dylan, didn't he? And it's the basics of goalkeeping.
Just do the basics.
It's what we needed, because we had a good defence. We spoke about it earlier on with Danny as well, and Melier having so many clean sheets. But I do think that's a lot down to defence, and that's all we needed was just a goalkeeper who was solid enough, could do the basics, and Carl Darlow gave that to us. So I think the 7 for me is probably just about right. Let's move on then, Dylan, to Willie Nanto. He eats spaghetti and drinks Moretti and all that, is what Ethan Ampadu told us. A 7 for Willie Nanto, Dylan. Again, he's one of them very, very good the last couple of weeks. Obviously, again, he gets the goal down at Plymouth as well. He's been brilliant, but one of them from the season, Dylan, we constantly felt like we needed more and we wanted more from Willie Nanto through the year.
You know what? I'm just going to shout this out here. It's similar to the Solomon and Ramazani role. I simply put this down to the lad is still young.
Yeah.
And that's it. At the end of the day, he's still a very young player, Willie Nanto. His quality is brilliant. His ceiling is so massive. Yeah. I can see him going far. I really can.
He was good in the Premier League the last time as well, Dylan, wasn't he? He was brilliant, really good. Yeah.
He was brilliant, and I think that's what it was there. And it was ego got in the way. But will he get ahead of Dan James? Don't think so.
Yeah, it's one of them, but it's a nice headache to have, though, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's different, and we speak about it as well so much that they're all 4 wingers that we had this year. Your Ramazani, Solomon, James, and Nanto were all totally different wingers, could all do different things. Your Ramazani was one of them that was kind of free roaming. Could go off the left, go off the right. Solomon was very much one of them, was trickery, could get in on that left foot, score goals, create goals as well. Nanto was one of them off both feet. Dan James was more of a direct type of runner. They're all different kind of types of players, and I think you need that as well in the Premier League when games are kind of going different ways, that you have that. You don't want to be bringing on kind of, a like for like, if a game isn't really going your way, do you want to bring on that something a little bit different. But I'm excited to see Willie Nanto in the Premier League again, because he done so well the last time. I always remember that goal against Scum and Old Trafford as well. Lovely finish into the bottom corner. Player that really, kind of came onto the scene as well. Liverpool as well, when he came on at Anfield as well, when Somerville scored. He was great that day as well. So yeah, I'm interested to see Willie Nanto next season. I was at the start of the season. I'm going to be honest with you, and it might seem a little bit harsh, but there still is just a tiny little bit of disappointment in me of Willie Nanto this season, because I think he could have contributed a bit more with the talent that he possesses and the quality that we all know that he has. I really want him to show it more, and he obviously wants it as well. I need him to be showing it more consistent, because that's going to really depend if he's going to be a top player and if he's really, really going to go on and have a top career. So we need that more from that consistency. But you said it, time is still on his side. He's still very, very young, and he still has time to to make that happen and bring that into his game. 100%. Let's move on then, Dylan, to 2 players I don't think we have to speak too much about: Max Vober and Sam Chambers. Max Vober, very low score, Dylan, just above Alex Cairn with a 3.5. I got thinking when I first seen this earlier on, and I was obviously making up these graphs and going through the OLB audience score. I felt probably 3.5 was a tiny little bit harsh on Max Forward. I probably think maybe around a 4, maybe 4.5, because it was times that he came on that he did give us, a little bit of cover there at left back. I don't think, he should be kind of lower than Patrick Bamford, because I think he contributed a little bit more than Patrick Bamford, and he obviously played more minutes than Patrick Bamford. So it's one of them. He obviously came back in difficult circumstances, the same as Brendan Aronson. He was a poor game against Borough. Do you remember in the cup, he was really bad that day. But hasn't had the impact that we all kind of thought Max Forward would when he came back, did he?
No, I don't like him.
Jeez, don't hold back. Tell us what you really think.
Get rid of him. Sell him. No, I didn't like him, Darren. I really didn't. I'm not going to lie to you. I just think...
Do you think so, Shane? Shane thinks Nanto goes. Jeez, I hope he doesn't.
Oh, God.
I hope he doesn't.
I think Wilbur goes, and I hope he does.
Yeah, I suppose it's one of them, Dylan, isn't it, where it's, you kind of look at him and you think, maybe he's definitely one of them, I think, goes out the door.
I can't, you look at Brendan Aronson coming back, we were at the Portsmouth game where you volleyed the defence. Aronson made, he could have been a hero throughout the season if he had scored that goal. Unfortunately, he scored the first one, obviously, but he could have scored another one. And we were all kind of buzzing. Everyone was kind of that weight lifted off his shoulders. I'm here to right the wrongs. And Warburg didn't do that for me. Not one bit.
It was a poor season for me. Tabby says here, Nanto will mature in the Premier League. I think so as well. I think definitely there's more to unlock from Willie Nanto. Definitely not a player I'd like to see leave the club. Shane says here, does Forward go left foot when Fairport goes to bed? Oops, I shouldn't have said that. Definitely not. Jam says straight to the point though. Yeah, straight in. Let's speak a little bit then, Dylan, about obviously the youth that's coming through and Sam Chambers. We've seen him this season. He was very, very unlucky. I think it was against Plymouth, wasn't it, in the Cup, if I'm remembering correctly, where he came on. But he gets a higher score, Dylan, than Max Forward. But he is a player that I probably think I'd like to see him go out on loan. Let's see what he can do with his career. But a player then that does have bags of potential as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's young. He's been called up. He's done an all right job when he has played. And he's been on the bench an awful lot, so there's clearly something that Fark sees in him.
Yeah.
His ceiling is obviously high as well, so we might get to see him a bit more in the Premier League.
Who knows?
But it's hard to comment on. You don't get to see them an awful lot. You know what I mean?
You don't get to see him too much. Yeah. We'll move on then, Dylan, to Ilya Gruev and then Harry Gray. Gruev first, Dylan.
What a man.
He's one of them. I like him and then I don't like him. He's one of them in games where I think he's necessary in some games, away from home. He's a smooth operator in there, breaks up the play, moves the ball, and then there's times then where we should be on the front foot in games and I don't think he's kind of progressive enough with his passing and stuff like that. And I think probably for me, and let us know what you're thinking, the chat, if I'm being a little bit harsh, he's one of them for me that really, really has a question mark in the Premier League for me. Is he one of them that can't step up to the plate of the Premier League? I'm not too sure. But what do you think, Dylan, of a score out of 7 for Ilya Gruev?
Maybe 7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think... No, how do I say? I think with Gruev, it all depends on who he has playing beside him. But it also depends on the opponent.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, to a certain degree, I kind of agree with what you had to say there. It's kind of like away from home, that kind of bite, that kind of get into him sort of stuff Gruev can do. But I never want to see Ampadu and Gruev playing together again.
No.
That's for sure.
Jam's just confirming, Dylan, here that Ampadu was a much better player than Gruev. Is he?
Gruev is a better midfielder than Ampadu.
Nah, not having it. Let's move on then, Dylan, to Harry Gray then, the next of the Gray dynasty to come through at Ellen Road, and it's one of them, Dylan, where we kind of hang our hats on him as the next kind of prodigal sons coming through at Ellen Road. Looks like he's a big future ahead of him as well. I'd love to see him get a loan, maybe back down to the Championship, possibly higher end League One to really kind of toughen him up and, get a lot of minutes in his leg and really kind of progress his career. Can't see him getting loads of minutes in the Premier League. May be wrong, but it looks very unlikely. But a player that really excites the Leeds fans, Dylan.
Yeah, look, as you said, Darren, it's the family tree. Gray is, he's definitely, if he has the same quality as Archie, if not better, Fark did say in press conferences he has that kind of.
Well, what wasn't it spoke
16
about last season when Archie started? I can't remember who said it, but it was definitely talk about the time that his younger brother Harry was better than him.
Yeah.
Has potential to be better than him, supposedly. Yeah. So, and look at it, it's two different positions. It's hard to tell, if Harry's playing striker and Archie was a midfielder / right back, centre back, left back, whatever he's playing for Spurs now. He seems to be a little bit kind of all over the place, but he's definitely one that excites the fans, Dylan. Let's move on then, Dylan, to the gaffer, the man himself, Daniel Farke, has got a rating of an 8.5 from the OLB audience, Dylan. I think he probably deserves a little bit more from the job that he's done, the pressures that he's under, remaining calm under a very kind of rocky storm, especially around that Luton game where people were kind of starting to call for his head, and Jams in the chat there as well, and he was the first one to hold his hands up and say he kind of threw the toys out of the bath water. I did a little bit of a Farke rant video about him as well, where I wasn't too happy with him persisting. He definitely has stubbornness in there. But a rating of an 8.5 for Daniel Farke this season, Dylan. What do you make of that?
I give him 10, lads. And I'm not being smart here, I'm being deadly serious. This man was brought in to do a job, and that was get Leeds back to the Premier League. It took Bielsa 2 seasons. It took Farke 2 seasons. He's done it with to a certain degree, say less quality, more points, and goals.
Yeah, I look at it both sides, and I think, he's broke obviously the club record for points, 100 points.
But Dan, this is hold on. It's
goals.
coming down to expectations with Leeds. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're jumping the fence a little bit.
I do think at times, I'm trying to put it as a season as a whole, because it's very easy to be sucked into these last kind of couple of weeks and thinking, he's great and he's a 10. And I'll probably disagree with you a little bit saying that he should be a 10, because there's definitely parts of his managerial. He got the objective, so 10 out of 10 for getting the objective this season, 100% winning the league and getting 100 points. But I just think his man management at times, to be a little bit too stubborn in decisions that, it kind of seems like there's times where he makes a decision, it's brought up in a press conference, and then he kind of doubles down on it and sticks with his decision until it's really proven very wrong. And it got to that situation with Meslier where he should have changed it after Sunderland. He definitely should have changed it after Hull. Again, he persisted with it, and I think that's where the frustration then came with. And ultimately, then it got few people talking coming up to that Luton game, and there's a few people dealing that subscribers of the show here that were giving a little bit of heat after that Luton game, saying that Farke needs to go tonight if we're gonna get our objective. So he does have cracks, in his managerial career, but who doesn't? We remember Bielsa, and he's got to figure around here. He was stubborn. There was times where he was reluctant to change it, and he'd stick with his decision, and it was plan A and plan A better and stuff like that. But I think in the Premier League, Dylan, Daniel Farke needs to learn from this season that there's times where he probably, if he does make a wrong decision, just hold your hand up a little bit early and say, right, I need to change it here. Do you know what I mean? That'd be my little criticism. Maybe a 9. A 10 I think is a little bit too much for me.
And that's why it's all about opinions.
That's exactly it. Shane says here, Farke done a brilliant job. Where do you rate him as best managers we ever had? Jesus, that's actually a very, very good question. A very, very good question. I'm talking about the 4 that have won the league, Shane, or is it just all managers in general? I think if it's the 4 that have won the league title with us, I probably think top you have to go Revy, even though I wasn't around then, but it's obviously Revy was the one to put the team on the map. Wilco at the time was the top division, so I think he has to be second. Bielsa, I think, because he's done it after such a long period of time in it, and then Daniel Farke. Then for me, I think that's the way I'd categorise the 1 to 4. Probably the way history kind of shows it. Dylan, what way would you kind of rate Farke amongst them?
Yeah, probably the same. To be fair, I just think we can't shine away. We broke records this season.
Yeah,
but was he ahead of Bielsa? Bielsa brought this kind of love to the city, to the people.
It felt like he built the club again, Dylan. Yeah. I think Bielsa had more of a kind of like a Revy kind of sort of impact, really kind of put Leeds back on the
A
map
granddad.
after the club. After the club that was in absolute tatters, a stadium that was falling apart, a city that was falling out of love with their football club, and was a very kind of broken sort of relationship between the fans and the club at the time, and understandably because we had multiple owners coming into this football club, sucking the club dry and through a very, very bad period. And I think Bielsa was the one to kind of, not just in the dressing room and not just playing style, from the very top to the very bottom, around Ellen Road, how people conducted themselves, the training ground as well, the changes that he made there as well to kind of bring Leeds, up to that level that we should have really kind of been at. I think it was different where Fark didn't quite have to do that job. He obviously did have to do a little bit of a rebuild when we came back down, but definitely not to the level as what Bielsa had to do, in my opinion. Anyway. Shane says, yeah, 4 plays for me. Revy, Bielsa, Wilco, Fark and O'Leary. Yeah. I remember the O'Leary days a little bit more fonder because that's obviously when I came in and Champions League football and stuff like that. But look again, like what you say, Dylan, it's all about opinions. Farker 8 and 3.5 lol says Tabby. Right, let's move on then to the moment we've all been waiting for, and it was one that the reason why we pushed season ratings back a little bit, we were going to do it before the Bristol game, but it was very, very close between the player of the year. But over the last couple of weeks, the last week, he's really kind of stretched ahead. So the OLB player of the year is, of course, none other than Dan James. And I think he deserves it, Dylan. He was absolutely sensational. Very, very close second then to Joe Rodon. And then, believe it or not, then third spot then was shared between Jaden Bogle and El Tanaka. So Dan James is your OLB player of the year. And yeah, he's the Leeds United player of the year. And I don't think you can kind of deviate far wrong from that. Again, I've obviously gave my opinion on it. I disagree a little bit because I think Joe Rodon
James is on fire.
So let us know what you think in the comments below. I think, yeah, we probably have to agree with that, with Dan James being player of the year. But actually, I really enjoyed that video, Dylan. I know it's probably one of the longer videos that we've done in a very, very long time, over the hour mark. But it's good to kind of recap and kind of look at this team at the end of the day. We'll look back on these like we do with that Bielsa team, as heroes in a couple of years. And obviously, time is the one that kind of makes you kind of look back, doesn't it? And really kind of happy memories of this squad and this team.
Yeah, 100%, Darren. It's such an emotional roller coaster, this club, but we have to give 10 out of 10 to the season. I enjoyed it. At one stage, you did say to me, we need to just enjoy the season and not to be worrying, such. Just sit back and enjoy it because God only knows what will happen for next season.
Yeah.
But I love this club. I love this people. I love all you guys. So, yeah, I'm just basking in the glory at the minute because my team is the champions. So it's not often I get to say that, so I'm loving it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dylan, 100%. So I hope you've enjoyed the show, guys. So we get to a couple of comments. Shane Kavanagh says here, Bogle player of the year for me. Yeah, and I think there's a few people with different opinions, isn't there, on this one, Shane, pal? Philip says, really good show, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, lads. It was really good. Obviously, it took a good bit of time to put together with them slides and stuff like that. Don't you hear Revy forever? Yeah, I think Revy's the top man. He put Leeds on the map, didn't he? 100%. Top show by you, so boys. Thanks, Jam. It's great to be back. And again, apologies over the last couple of days. Obviously, we did our Plymouth build up to the game. There was no match reaction after that, and I spoke about it a little bit. Did a short earlier on, kind of saying kind of where our kind of head was at after Leeds won the championship, and I obviously spoke about it with Dylan that mind frame just wasn't in a good space to kind of do a video, so took a little bit of a break away, put the phone away, enjoyed the holidays and had a good time. But we're back with a bang, Dylan. We're back enjoying it again, aren't we?
Yeah, what's not to enjoy talking about Leeds United and all these lovely folks putting in comments and just buzzing off each other. Yeah, so I'm delighted. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. I'm looking forward to next season. And look, yeah, as Darren said there, thanks to everyone. Started this back in August and it came really a long way. So we couldn't have done it without you guys. Yeah.
100%, Dylan, I agree with you. Before we go, guys, if you are knocking in around Dublin or Ireland on Saturday, Leeds United Legends are playing the Borough Legends in the Carlisle ground down in Bray in County Wicklow. It's going to be a great night out. There's players, your Becchio, Begfords, Ross McCormick, Matt Kilgallen, Jonathan Woodgate, Ian Hart, Bradley Johnson. I'm definitely missing out a few here. I think Cole Palmer is playing as well. I think he was announced last week as well. Loads of Leeds United legends coming together. So if you are, make sure you get down to the Carlisle grounds. Celebrate promotion again, as always. We keep on this roller coaster. We'll keep celebrating promotion. We'll keep enjoying it. So it's going to be a great day out, and they're also having a dinner as well, back as well in the Stillorgan Hotel as well. So it's going to be a great day out. So make sure you're there on Saturday. Get down, support the boys as well. We're going to do a full day vlog of it as well. We're really looking forward to it. We are going to the dinner as well, so hopefully we get to sit beside a couple of Leeds United legends. So potentially has the makings of being a very, very good video and a very, very good vlog if we can kind of get our hands on. Imagine
chicken wings.
Becky won't have a clue what we're saying to them whatsoever, but we'll try and get all them boys on camera and see if we can nab them for a couple of words. So yeah, make sure you get down to the Carlisle grounds, or if not, make sure you keep an eye out for the video that is coming out with the full match day vlog. Looking forward to meeting some of you guys as well. I know meeting Sean Healy as well, Stephen Bourne and his young flyer heading out to the game as well. So yeah, it's going to be a great day out as well for Leeds United fans that are over here in Ireland. Dylan, you looking forward to it?
Yeah, buzzing. Can't wait. Really looking forward to it. Can't wait to see Beckford.
Yeah, Beckford is going to be... Beckford and Becky all back up front together. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable, isn't it? Shane Kavanagh says, I was so drunk after Saturday I fell asleep on the bus. My phone, Rob.
Oh my God.
I'd expect nothing less from you, buddy. I'd absolutely expect nothing less from you. And Shane Kavanagh says, good to be back. It is. It's great to be back. So that's it from Only Leeds Bros. That's it from the season player ratings, guys. It's been a phenomenal season. It's been a phenomenal journey from Only Leeds Bros. So again, but please, before you leave, don't forget to slap a like on the video, hit subscribe to the channel, and we'll chat to you all again very soon. Dillo, this is how we go.
Do. We are the champions. Do. I love it.
Mind yourselves and mind each other.